What's going on, brother?
Hello, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
You guys hear
Yep,
me?
Yes.
yep, I can hear you guys. Good morning.
You
Awesome.
Good
are
afternoon,
heard.
brother.
Awesome.
You
Um,
guys hear me?
I had yes, I had to make some
But
changes to my streaming service, so I'm doing a little. I thought I had it fixed, but now that I heard somebody barely talking just now.
hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to make some changes to
Hang on a second, y'all.
service, so I'm doing a little. I thought I had it fixed, but now that I heard somebody barely talking just now. Awesome.
Hey guys, you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I had to make some changes to hang on, service, so I'm doing a little. I thought I had it fixed, but now that I heard somebody barely talking just now. Awesome. Hey guys. Yeah.
Mute your YouTube.
Yeah.
Mute your YouTube.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, I could just hear your YouTube playing back to us. I think that's all it was.
Okay. Am I showing up well?
I see a little birdie, like a penguin with a suit on.
That's me. You guys hear me?
Yep.
Uh, sorry, that was odd.
What do you mean you don't know what's going on? What's up?
Hmm.
What's up, Dennis?
What's going on? How was your weekend?
Busy as always, man. Life of an AC guy.
Yes.
My entire week has been well. I'm a forklifter at night, so
That's no fun. Working nights is tough. I've done it before and that is just no fun.
I've been doing
I'm on
it.
that.
And I've been doing it for since I was 16, so I'm all right.
Wow, you're used to it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've only been doing it for a year, but I work 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's rough for me.
Ick.
I like working the graveyard shift. That's my favorite time to be alive, right? That's I'm just a night type person. But when I was working night shifts, we were doing the it wasn't even 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It was rotating like day shift, evening shift, and then graveyard. Take a week off, day shift, evening shift. graveyard, and that's the way that we had to work. It was at a bottling company when I was golly, I guess I was 17, maybe just turned 18.
Yeah. Um, I'm doing mid shift basically 6 8 6 p.m. to 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm.
And it's been helping me a lot since I get 3 days off, and I'm always at my lodge meetings. On for Blue Lodge, I get to go do my chapter council. Well, I've been trying to go to morning shift so I can be more a part of my Shriner or to my shrine and commandery. But right now, well, I'm not even sure if this company is going to make it or not because the freight is so bad.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a webcam this time. I was going to order one before this happened, but you guys will see my AVI for right now.
No worries.
Yeah,
Where are you? Where are you from? Who is this? Penguin?
yeah. I'm
Who? Go
uh
ahead.
sorry. I'm actually in Texas, so
Oh, okay. What's your name?
it's Corey.
Corey?
Corey,
Cool.
yeah, just call me Penguin and make it easier.
Yeah. Whereabouts in Texas?
Uh, the DFW area. Uh,
That'll work.
I know one of you guys said Goliad. I'm like, that's 4 hours away from here, or five.
Yeah, it's a little over 5 hours away. It's that's where Josh and I both live. Josh, the one with the La Bahia Grotto hat, and then myself, we both belong to the same lodge.
Mm-hmm.
See you now, Justin. There you go.
There he is. Wow, we
I'm
see
about
it.
2 hours northeast of you, Penguin.
Mm.
What was
Welcome,
it?
Justin.
It always does that when you're trying to record.
Glad you could join us this evening.
Yeah.
I've got a question. So we got a couple of guys I've been talking to at my lodge. They're EAs from other lodges from years ago, never finished. They're interested in coming to our lodge, and from what I thought is we're supposed to get like a Form 31, but I think we're supposed to get some kind of waiver of jurisdiction as well from their lodge that they
Well,
were initiated at.
they have to reinstate in their lodge first, and then they can affiliate. Then
Got
they
it.
can move their membership to your lodge. That's how they'd have to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll figure that one out.
Yeah, but it's not. Do they just live in a different area now, or did they
Yeah.
just not enjoy that lodge or something?
Yeah, they live here near my lodge now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it shouldn't be real hard. They can just really most of it can be done over the phone probably, and just email the documents that need to be done, and
Yeah. Good.
that's a
Thank
lot better than not being happy with the lodge and doing that. That's it's a lot
you.
easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Here, let's do. Man, it was awesome. It to have that many of of the powerhouse minds that are in Texas in one place is freaking amazing. It really is. I was so intimidated being the first speaker, kicking it off, because I had to, get everybody excited about being there. Number one, even though most of them were pretty excited anyways, but I had to get them excited about being there in the morning, first waking up, all that kind of stuff, and turned out real well. Got a standing ovation. But then everybody started speaking, man, and it was just one after the other of just mind blowing stuff that really really needs to be shared all over Texas and the nation, to be honest. Yep. Well, everybody with ours kept it to around 45 minutes, and then that way it gave us time to talk and or take breaks. So we had a break in between every speaker, and that was really good. Everybody's able to get up, move around, and just seeing the excitement within the lodge. I mean, it was just everybody was talking in between the different deals. It wasn't like people sitting on their phones and on the sidelines, looking at Facebook or anything like that. Everybody was completely engaged with each other during every break.
What was the turnout?
We had. I didn't count. I should have counted. We probably had about 40 people there.
That's not bad at all. Was it in a lodge?
Yeah. So it was a full house in the lodge.
That's really cool. So, I like a little. You and I talked, but we try to be ambiguous in our last video. So, what did you talk about?
Mine is called the Wisdom of God, Strength and Beauty in the Lodge, or the Strength and Beauty in Freemasonry. And it basically, and it's hard to. It's really hard to go through it without doing the presentation.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. It goes down so many different little rabbit holes that, without explanation, it's hard to touch on it. But I guess I could bring some thoughts up, and everybody can talk on it if they want to.
Okay.
The main thing I talked about was the fact that that we are in and of God, and that basically that's how our makeup is built in the image of God is through our mind and conscience, which creates our spirit. The more stuff we put into our mind, and the more in tune we are with our conscience, it strengthens up your spirit, which I consider to be the Holy Spirit, because that's your source of life, right? It's always going to be there, and it's going to be as weak or as strong as we want to make it, right? Well, and I didn't write that Well, I did kind of write that in there. That's kind of what the cable tow represents is, how strong or how shallow, how deep or how shallow we are is kind of the loosening or the gripping of the cable tow around our neck that holds us back from what we're capable of. That was the biggest point for people to get over or to get an understanding of in order to take on the rest of the information I had.
But it sounds like it was a really good presentation. I hope to hear it sometime.
I'll send it to you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking about doing the AI last night and having the English guy read it for us and do a video, but I didn't do it. I need to do it. We talked about doing that with a couple of things, and I haven't done it.
Well, let me know if you want to do that. I want it to be like we did things in the past, like we're transitioning over to that email. So we'll just let me know, and I'll be sure it's set up so we can do that.
Well, then get ready, because I'll just email it to you tonight, and then you can read it, and then just copy it and paste it into there, and then let it do its thing, and then edit it from there.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, those are I enjoy making those, and I think they're pretty good. So we'll definitely do that.
I think this one would be pretty cool. I'd be interested to see what kind of images come out of that conversation. What do you think, Brother Hoff? I sent it to you, didn't I? What did you think about it? Speechless, I can tell.
Yeah, I had him unmute. Yeah, it was really good. I really like that part about the cable tow. How I was taught kind of that it was something that you can drag me out, but it's also what you were saying is something that holds all the bad stuff back to allow me to go forward.
Right.
So I really like that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because really it is you dragging yourself out. If they don't, of course, then you're really dragging yourself out of the conversation, because you aren't willing to go forward and accept that light, right?
Right. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
pretty cool. I should have put that in there. Yeah. See how you are?
So Kohanke and Williams were there too, weren't they? Also presenting.
Yes. And Larry Fitzpatrick and Dr. David Hill and Bradley S. Billings and Roberto N. Sanchez and Carlos Cantu. He also spoke, and his was awesome, and it was about the serpent and the serpent in Masonry.
Man,
so
I would like to hear that one.
Right, it was good. It was good.
So basically, the dream team was there.
Oh man, tell me. Yeah, it was. It was. Oh, and Robert Park, he was there as well.
I thought you mentioned him.
Oh, did I?
I think you did. So I was curious, because I know Brother Williams was going to, and I think Kohanke, I think they were both going to change up their usual presentation from what they spoke about at the summit. I think.
Oh yeah, nobody talked about anything that. Well, they were the only two that were speakers at the summit. So yeah, but none of them were doing stuff that they had done in a while.
Well, Park talk at the summit.
Park didn't give the same talk either. His was a deep dive on what was his name? Dang it. Anyways, he went on a different deep dive. It's pretty awesome. But it was a really deep dive that was in Hermetic principle, and he didn't call it that to all the brothers. I think people who study it recognized it as what it was, but he didn't really call it that, because he did it based on another guy's interpretation that wasn't, talking hermetics.
See?
But he was kind of backing up hermeticism through somebody who wasn't a student of hermetics. Chris gave a talk about basically about membership and losing membership and stuff. He was the only one that really wasn't an esoteric type talk this time. Yeah, he went a different way, and he talked about the importance of having these kind of events so that because our stuff has been so dumbed down over the years. And then and Larry just really brought it home too with the same kind of thing. His talk is about music in the lodge.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we had brothers Chuck Springer and Lance Candler there as well. Lance is a full on musician and composer. So he was there as a musical expert, but Larry was talking about how in
You got choppy.
What?
You got real choppy.
It's
You said
saying
they were
my
talking about, and then you went digital.
Yeah, it's saying my connection is choppy. Hold on just a second. Let me
It's
turn
that
off all my-
AT&T internet he's got.
It is, right?
Who's
I
in
turned
charge
off
of that
all
out
my
there?
video. I don't know since I'm sick.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's why it's been so bad, I'm sure.
Probably. You didn't have this. You didn't used to have this trouble.
Isn't that kind of obvious? That's funny.
Oh, we still had this trouble in Goliad when he's working, so don't believe him.
That's only yours. If you called in then while I was working, then you wouldn't.
No one sorts colored spaghetti like Dennis.
I'm telling you, that's
He sent me some pictures before of those lines, and it's a mess. I don't know how anybody does that.
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But knowing how Dennis's brain works, it makes total sense.
Yeah, straightening out spaghetti. So where was I?
You're talking about Larry.
Yeah, in 1922 or in 1822, it was put in the constitutions. The music was put in there with the different degrees, and in 1838 there was like 34 pages of music that was added to the Constitution, so that
Here in Texas?
people. No, we're talking about Anderson's Constitution.
Oh, okay, I got you.
What our stuff was all based on, and I may have the dates wrong, but anyways, basically this used to all be part of what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And little by little, it's been just taken out and squashed by powers that be in the name of the same experience for everybody, which we still, I know, we still don't get that from, you go to Goliad Lodge and you're going to get a pretty dang decent degree. Mm-hmm. You go to a lodge up the road 30 minutes away and not in the very direct north, but the northwest, I would say, Josh, just so that you don't get upset. But if you go up the road 30 minutes down the road, and you're going to get terrible work unless they get people brought in from other towns. And it's the same way all over Texas. It's not just indicative of this area. Yeah. And we know that. So it's stupid to take out so much in the name of conformity, and then you have such a disarray of what is really happening in the lodges.
It makes me think about, and this is something I've been, it's been on my mind lately. Like if you go back to like the Enlightenment era, England, and go to a Masonic lodge, they're not focused so much on probably perfect ritual in everything being the same. It's more like you have guys like Isaac Newton coming and presenting, hey, I couldn't figure out how to calculate these planetary trajectories, so I created this new math, and we'll call it calculus. Right? It's guys coming and giving presentations about that, and then the other guys taking what they learn and going back and working with it, and then coming back and sharing what they learned. It's about
Right.
growth, and it was a place to share information that you probably could not share, or it was just where like-minded people could go to share information. And the reason I'm saying that is because music has mathematical connotations and esoteric connotations. There's a lot more to music than just pretty sounds, and so it makes sense to have that in lodge. I have no doubt Enlightenment era Freemasons discussed, and I don't remember it offhand, but I know there's like Fibonacci connotations to the different notes and things like that. I have no doubt they're discussing things like that. So of course you'll listen to music. Of course you would. You'd have
Right.
things like that. And so this idea that as we got away from that, as we kind of dumbed down the fraternity, and I hate to use those words, but it's what happened. We focused less on sharing important information and things that we've learned, personal growth, and more about, hey, let's just be sure we get these canned rituals exactly the same across this giant state, just for the sake of uniformity. So let's get rid of music. Let's get rid of the walking lecture. Let's get rid of anything that might make this lodge experience
Incense.
different. Incense, certain types of chambers, anything that might.
Yeah, that's what Roberto's talk was on.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
yeah, chambers of reflection. We're the only state in the world, basically, or we're the only country in the world, basically, that doesn't do chambers of reflection.
Mm.
In fact, there's probably going to be.
I have a question about that.
Mhm.
There's a reason why we don't have that one?
Because it's too scary.
Mm.
That's basically it. The same reason why they don't have skull and bones all over the place and stuff
But
like
that-
that.
That's not something like that. It can help to conceal and see how serious is the person about what he's going through. I don't know. I'm just saying,
Well,
like,
that's the purpose of it. That's the purpose of it, is to see how serious somebody is to take that first step. And if they move on after they see that chamber of reflection, because there's a real skull in that on that table right there in front of you.
Mhm.
You're looking right
Right.
at it. There's salt, mercury, and oil right there in front of you.
Rites of passage are supposed to be intimidating. They're supposed to be scary. You're supposed to sit in that room, darkly lit, with all these strange elements that you don't have any idea what they are. Is that a real skull? I don't know. What did I get into? That's all. That's the kind of stuff that should be going through your mind, because
Right.
you have to overcome that. You have to overcome fear for a real rite of passage. That adds significance to certain things that are told you in your EA degree, pretty soon after you come into the lodge, because you should be a little bit scared, because you've seen some things, you're already uncomfortable, you've seen some things that maybe shook you a little bit, and you have to come out of that. But we have taken all that away, and I mean, we're whispering guidance into their ear and like, hey, we're gonna pull you this way and this way, and we have to get away from that, because everything about becoming a Mason is self-initiated, right? Asking, seeking, all that stuff. That's self-initiated. You go to the lodge, you ask for the petition. That shouldn't stop as soon as they turn the petition. And so this is all part of a real of a real rite of passage, you have to have that aspect of fear. But we've completely neutered that out of our Masonic lodges. But the jurisdictions, and Dennis has been to some of them, the jurisdictions that actually implement these with fidelity instead of shy away from them have greater retention and more
Yeah,
engagement.
they're thriving, whereas we're failing. Yeah, America's failing while everybody else is thriving.
Yeah.
By the way, you're real slow and choppy yourself,
Am I?
Justin. Am I the only one seeing that? I mean, you're just really slow, and your music, not your music, your microphones keeps going through
For
while you're talking.
me, it's fine.
Yeah, for me it's fine too. I mean, the video may lag a little bit, but the audio is fine.
Okay.
I think it's
Huh.
your AT&T.
No, it's not. No, it's Justin's video, and something's going on with his computer.
I can hear both of you guys fine. I don't know what's going on.
So is anyone seeing lag or hearing audio issues on my end?
It might be your headphone. Check your headphone just in case it's not looking good.
Well, he uses a speaker, a microphone for his. Maybe you were just touching the microphone or something, and it was just.
Maybe.
Yeah, for me, I'd say video laggy, audio fine.
Okay, that's odd. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
same. It's definitely the video issue.
Okay. I'll look into that.
Okay, yeah, it's a video issue. It might be because of the driver that was updated.
Maybe. I'll forget.
I had to make sure mine wasn't doing that. It was doing that earlier today. I'm on Linux, so it's prone to do that, but Windows should be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into what could be doing that. Thank y'all for the feedback on that.
So you were saying something, what y'all talking about, the chamber of reflections and being in fear or something, or kind of not in fear, but like, I don't know. It was kind of what I was thinking about was whenever right before my EA initiation, the feelings that I was feeling of nervousness and like, it was intimidating to say the least.
Right. Right.
And I go to a lodge with just some good old boys too. They're not all dressed all fancy, and it's kind of a country lodge. But anyway, for me, it was still intimidating just because I didn't know what to expect. It was a mystery.
Right. So take that bit of fear, because I think every one of us felt that, and that's also why, they've used that thought to eliminate, saying, we're already feeling, everybody's already anxious. We're already, we don't need to go this extra step or whatever. But so take that thought of how you felt when you went to the door, and then or went to the chamber or the ante room, and consider, what if that ante room was painted black? And what if you were sitting at a table that was kind of rickety, not real nice, just kind of rickety, with a rickety kind of a chair that was uncomfortable to sit in. You kind of felt like you really didn't want to be there. It was kind of doomy, gloomy. And you had a skull right there looking at you. You had a quill pen and a piece of paper in front of you that said, "This is your last will and testament. This is what you expect to get out of this, and this is what we're expecting you to put into it." And then you see writings on the wall, basically, that say stuff like something to the effect of, I don't want to give away secrets or anything, but stuff that says things like, this is not for the faint of heart. This is, if you're looking for promotion, this is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, just different things like that. And then, in fact, that's not even close to one of them, really. I just really don't want to say the actual phrases.
Yeah.
But consider that and seeing that being in darkness, some of them go as far as you start off in this little chamber, right? And you're supposed to go down these stairs, and you go down, and as you go down, it starts getting darker, darker, and darker as you go around this little um this this little maze where you have no way to know where you're going, right? And then you end up in that room with the skulls everywhere. And then over in the corner, you see an entire skeleton of somebody in a grave, in a shallow grave. And it's telling you, you know, with the one little candle lit, and telling you not to go further if you don't feel, if you're not worthy, you're not going to survive this.
Mm-hmm.
And give up your prior life, because you're turning into something else. You're doing something else now. And so, you know, those kind of things, consider that angst that you felt when you were already in that, what most people go through as a broom closet, and change clothes and put on nasty pants that, you know, have never been washed, and some old flip flop that, you know, is halfway falling apart. And I'm not saying that's everybody. That's not everybody's experience, but I can definitely say I've seen to the liking, not in Goliad, but to the liking. And anyways, so you're feeling that concerned, and you're in that environment that's completely non-threatening, right? And just imagine if you did that going into that type of environment. Mm-hmm. Would you be a Mason today? Would it have mattered to you that much if you had been nervous? And then, in fact, when they come in, then when they bring you in, usually it's your top line recommender that goes and gets you from your house. And everybody is dressed in completely black, no lapel pins, no nothing. And he goes and gets you in his black suit, black everything, comes and gets you, takes you up there, and takes you to the door. You don't see anybody else, by the way. You don't see any of the lodge. You go straight to this place, and then he just as you walk through the door, he just walks away and disappears into the night.
So he never goes and has dinner and listens to fart jokes or anything like that before he starts?
No. He goes straight from home, straight to the experience. So you're immediately taken from one place to the other. And, you know, just think about that. And you're not having anybody reassure you on the way. You just got this guy that's saying, you know, this is it. This is your time. You're either going to make it or you're not. I'll see you on the other side.
And my question is, we are not allowed to do it by law, or is like
not by Grand Lodge law.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say I think there's two other reasons other than just it's scary that it's not permitted. And I think another one that's kind of a low-hanging fruit is because of a lot of the York Rat guys.
Takes away from one of their
degrees. I don't necessarily think it does, but that's fine. And then another thing is there was I don't know when it happened, but there was a period when the fraternity really cracked down on anything that could be considered hazing, right? Because that was a problem at one point. And so anything that might be spooky or that might be otherwise inappropriate was removed. Now, there's a big difference between, say, like making somebody walk down a line with a row of paddles, right? As opposed to something that's actually spooky. But I think we have this habit in the fraternity where we just overshoot everything, right? So instead of just saying, hey, nothing that might hurt anybody, they took everything out that might have any kind of negative connotations at all. And I think that's kind of what led us to where we are now. And now when you have people talking about the chamber, you have these York Rat guys like, well, we already have a chamber. It's already in the York Rat degrees. Why do we need to have it for the EA? And so
Right.
that's
They're suffering.
huh?
Because they're suffering.
Yeah, exactly. Because they don't want anything that might take away from what they have.
Well, I think that the hazing issue is kind of BS in my opinion, and I know that is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But it's BS because those people started that hazing crap because there was nothing like this to really create any foundational understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. So when there is nothing like that, and there's no rules on this in other bodies, then they're gonna run amok trying to make it cool. There's other areas. In fact, that's one of the things that was said. There's other areas in the United States that people were doing stupid crap that they got off the Dan Brown book, because Dan Brown had that one book about a chamber of reflection down in the basement of the White House or in Congress or something. And after that, people started doing stupid stuff in their own lodges that were trying to create some kind of a chamber type experience, but they were doing stuff that had nothing to do with traditional chamber of reflections, because they don't know. And if they did know, they just flat out weren't doing it for the chamber of reflection. They were doing it for hazing type reasons.
Yeah.
Do you know when was the last time they actually did it? Like in Texas?
They haven't done it in U.S. They haven't. Not in U.S. because we're a York Rite body. They've done it in New Orleans. There's 2 lodges in New Orleans that do it, and they've been allowed dispensation because they were original French Rite lodges and got their charters from a different jurisdiction. And then when New Orleans was formed and everything, then when that grand jurisdiction was formed, they allowed those 2 lodges to keep their traditions, and so they can perform in either the Blue Lodge, the York Rite degrees, or the Scottish Rite degrees. But those are the only 2 in America that can.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts on that chamber maybe leading to expanding on some of that misinformation, like the Taxel hoax and the other stuff that it's, all the creepy stuff kind of goes together, where maybe somebody had an idea to get rid of a little bit of that at the Blue Lodge level?
They probably did. That they probably did because of those reasons, but that wasn't an entire fraternity, right? That was an instant. So why would you change an entire fraternity over an instance of
No, I agree. I just mean like the general misinformation and trying to let the fraternity be seen in a better light, I guess.
I mean,
I don't care what
how's that working for us?
Seen in, to be honest.
Yeah. I care about attracting the right people. That's what matters. And as long as the right people can see through any misconceptions and can find the lodge and join it, it doesn't really matter to me either what the common perception is. Because here's the thing: despite our best efforts of trying to portray us in a positive light, go look on our comments on YouTube. Go look on any TikTok Masonic creator. It's full of these nuts, these crazy people, and it doesn't matter. It does not matter what kind of light you try to portray it in, how many scholarships you give away, how much money you give away to charity. It doesn't matter how long you try to convince them otherwise and how good your proof and evidence is. You will not change their mind. They have their worldview and they are happy. They have to have a bad guy. and they picked us. And there is nothing whatsoever that you can ever say or do, no content you can create or anything that will convince them otherwise of what they think they know. And so why worry about their conception, right? When there's nothing you can do, and they're going to portray you as a bad guy anyhow.
Or perception.
Yeah, their perception. Yeah. So that's my thought. Why don't you just practice Freemasonry 100% with fidelity and let your rites of passage be what they actually are supposed to be, life-changing, and allow that little bit of fear to come in. It's okay for things to be a little bit creepy sometimes. A little spookiness never hurt anybody. Let it be Halloween year long in the lodge. I don't care. I like that kind of stuff. So play a pop organ when you come in. Doo, 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 doo. I don't care. But but there's nothing you're going to do. You're not going to do anything to change their mind. So let's just embrace the rites of passage and stop worrying about what the haters are going to do. Because haters are going to hate no matter what. And they're all, if in fact, you're at the top when haters are hating, right? So that's a sign that you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path because you got haters.
Man, Trenton, I like what you just wrote on the chat there. You were talking about what they'll find on the other side of fear.
I like
that was one of the points that I made on that paper, that a lot of people they're blinded with a wall of light, right? The masonry is light. There's light there, but they're blinded by that light. It's like a 6-inch floodlight blinding your eyes when you're trying to look into the deep, and you can't see past it. And so you have that little bit of fear inside, that fear that your brain develops to try to protect you from what could be on the other side. And you end up not doing whatever it is. But the people who are willing to take that step and go beyond that wall of light are the ones that really receive all the benefits that Freemasonry has to offer, as opposed to, and I think that's a big point in where we're at, is that we're allowing the folks that are blinded by that light to make the decisions for all of Masonry, as if they're extending out the Masonry for somebody by taking away that light, and by taking away that blindness, they're extending the Masonry for somebody to allow somebody else in, but they're missing the point that even where this cuts off, there's still an infinite amount of information past that, and growth and spirituality that comes from that. And not that, we're a religion, just so those listening on our actual feed know, we're not a religion, but when we grow our mind and conscience, it's growing our spirit. So that's why I say that.
Yeah.
But
So, talking about
that's a big
religion,
one.
we're not a religion, right? But basically everything is around King Solomon's temple. So going to the high priest, going through the Sanctum Sanctorum, think about it. It might be something that it might be spooky, because they went one time during the year and you can die. So if it was your first time going to the Sanctum Sanctorum, you don't know what you're gonna.
It's true.
You don't know what you're gonna find out.
Because if you
after
weren't
you
worthy,
go in. Yeah, if you're not worthy, they're gonna pull you out by the cable. So, and that's it. You're done. So, I mean,
I'd like to. I got permission to share. So what Trent said a minute ago, I don't know if Dennis actually said it out loud, but what he said was, everything you ever wanted is just on the other side of fear. I wanted to link this back to the conversation you and I had earlier this week, Dennis. So if anyone wants to, if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the last video that just came out, because we were talking about manifestation and the difference. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people is successful people are willing to take risk. They overlook fear, they acknowledge what needs to be done, and they do it. And this is how it ties all back together, man. Everything you ever want is on the other side of fear. And that applies in life, but right here at this specific circumstance we're talking about. If you want to be a Mason, you have to overcome that fear. If you want to be a successful businessman, you have to overcome fear. If you want to find true love, you have to overcome fear. If you want to relocate to a new country, you have to overcome fear. And so it's a all good things are always on the other side of this giant valley of uncertainty, right? And sometimes you get over there and you realize it's not what you wanted, but you never know until you cross that valley of uncertainty. Otherwise, you're always stuck on that same pasture, on that same side of that valley your entire life, complaining about the other people that you see over there, how lucky they are to be over there. But really, all you had to do was cross that valley. And so I love that you said that, because that ties in so well what we were talking about earlier this week about manifestation and being successful and accomplishing goals. And that applies so much to this this chamber of reflection concept that we're talking about this evening.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up the manifestation. I'll bring that up. That was also part of the paper. That's where the paper started. And the thought on that, and if you understand this, if you grasp this concept, then you really have no fear of what's to come, because you manifested it. It's happening because you have put yourself in that position to be in front of that thing, right? So everything, I asked the question in the paper, what made you, do you remember that that very moment that you made the decision to become a Mason? Because a lot of people think that they know. They're thinking, and I even to this day, every time I say that, I think about the day I was sitting in my bed on my computer, and printing out the petition from online, which, yes, back 15 years ago, the lodge I joined was already giving out petitions online. Just saying. They already had a website with calendars.
Was that back when you could apply for the mysteries?
Yes. Yes. I applied for the mysteries of Freemasonry. I didn't apply for whatever it is today. But anyways, so what I challenge everyone to consider is that from the moment they're born, every action, reaction, everything that happened within life, all the things that you learned from others and the things that you've applied in your life, everything that happened has built up to this moment right this minute. And it is a manifested reality that happened in your mind. And the reason it happened in your mind is because of all the things you learned along the way that made you who you are. We think about these things in a shallow type of a way. And I want to put this disclaimer out there. If you've seen that infomercial or that video about The Secret, this is not that. This is not that infomercial. I am not that wacko. But listen to this wacko, because I got something to say. But everything that you have done, it's not that you're sitting and meditating on it and all of a sudden you have a cheeseburger in your hand. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that every action and reaction that happened within life built up to this point, and that your reality is causation of everything that happened in your past. And everything that happened in your past was part of now, of course, when you're a child, a lot of that's not true, because we have bad things happen to us as children, right? We have no control over that. But when we become, just like it says in the Bible, when I became a man, I put away my childish ways, right? So when you became of that age to be able to make decisions for yourself and affect your own reality, all that has been happening. But all the things that happened as a child also affect that reality. So all the things your parents taught you, the things your dad taught you, the things your mom taught you, grandparents, whatever, everything you learned up until that point shaped that point to where you started. And then all the information from that point shaped this point to where you are right now. So you actually were in preparation of being a Mason from inception. When you were born, you were already on the track to becoming this Mason. And the reason I say it's your own manifested reality, because like I said earlier, mind and conscience strengthens your spirit, right? You already have the spirit, but it's basically your mind and conscience that creates that spirit. So all of the things that developed in your mind and conscience, your mind is the intellect, the conscience is your character, basically. So everything that built you up to be that person is what puts you in the positions that you are today. All the successes that you have, you can attribute to way back then, because it all happened to make you who you are today. So that manifested reality, if you believe in that, if you believe you're part of that, and that the fact that, now let me take 2 steps back. It's explained better in the paper, and I'm going to send it to you guys. I promise you. Everybody, put your email. If I don't have it, put your email in the chat, and I will get it before we get off of the call right now.
I can also upload it to the members only on Facebook.
Yeah,
just in case anyone's not here right now.
Right. Do that, please.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that that's our true connection with God. We are made in God's image, right? That's what the Bible says. But I think the Bible is far more esoteric than anything anybody understands.
Definitely.
That has learned it from a church. And I'm only saying that because we think literally, because we're of this earth, right? We're part of nature. So we think in a finite manner and take everything literally when we read it and see it. We can't help but to. We were made that way our whole lives, and we were conditioned to be that way, though we're training ourselves to be better, right? Mm-hmm. But I truly believe that being made in the image of God is actually the fact that God is the balance between nature and the celestial and terrestrial, right? We also have that same thing because our mind and conscience and spirit balances out our natural selves, the nature part of ourselves. And so the way that we're connected with God is actually the mind, conscience, and spirit. It's not the flesh. But people can't see past the finite, so they think of God as some fleshy thing instead of thinking of God as this infinite, just light, just being, right? So I think that's where we're in the same image. And that's why I think that through our manifestation that we've created in our mind and conscience, that's why we're able to shape our future based on that.
I want to add something.
A long explanation of that.
No, I love it. That's great.
I want to add something about that. Picking back on what you're talking about, Dennis, that's the reason in my short time on Masonry, that's the reason I believe that there's nothing like numbers issues going on. Because if you have, let's say, 10 Masons that understand, or at least grasp the peak of the iceberg of what you just talking about manifestation, they should be able to understand that there's already out there people ready to knock the door. So if everybody get their mind in the same type of manifestation, top, they should be able to bring those person without marketing. They
Yes,
should
you're
just
gonna like this paper. You're gonna like this paper. Yes, I agree.
oh,
I agree because basically you're gonna attract the same energy to you of that outside of you, and it's gonna come. It's just gonna come. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, you attract what you put out, right? So if you read books and create presentations and give presentations and share education, you're going to attract like-minded people, right? If you focus on ritual and work on getting your certifications, you're going to attract like-minded people. If you focus on fish fries, that's what you're logically going to attract, right? And so if you let me back up. We often lament in Freemasonry, and I think we've hit on this before. We complain that we're not attracting the same caliber people that we used to, right? Like the politicians and the prominent members of the community, like the mayors and the council people and whatever.
That's because we're not those people.
Exactly, exactly, because we are not those people. We are not putting that out. Therefore, that's not what we're attracting. Exactly.
Right.
I saw
And
let me
go
just
ahead.
real quick. There was a comment. I have to let me see if I can find it actually because it's pretty relevant. I think it was on YouTube. Let me see here. Um, oh, here it is. This was 4 days ago. I'm just going to share this. Perhaps I just had the wrong lodge, but I left Freemasonry in good standing because I finally realized it was just another membership club, nothing more. I had PTSD from my service, my marriage was broken, and I didn't feel I received the support that Freemasonry was meant to provide. Modern Freemasonry represents the dying embers of something marvelous and fantastic. When I went to the lodge, I wanted to feel I was in an organization that mattered, that it was dynamic, edgy, and a cut above the rest in a good way. It wasn't. Nothing's hidden. Nothing now is really secret. It doesn't seem to really have a purpose, and the members don't try to make it the living and strong fraternity it should be. This is actually not the one I was looking for, but it's still on the same lines. The one I was trying to find was basically it was a guy. He was a businessman, and he was trying to join to not to promote his business, but because he wanted to associate with other
With
people
higher caliber
with a
people.
higher
Right.
yeah, like you're saying, and that was not the case. And
Well, that's why.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm really not doing it justice because it's not. He put it very very well, and I'm not doing that justice. But yeah,
Well, think about it. Think about it this way. There's a reason why Mark, whatever Berg he is,
Mhm.
and Warren Buffett, and oh shoot, who's the
I found it. When
who's
you're
the
ready. Sorry, I don't.
who's the founder of Microsoft? What's his name
Bill
again?
Gates.
Bill Gates. Yeah, so close to Yates, so far away. But that's why people like that, uh, they have their own little social groups.
Yeah.
They get together and they discuss things that they're going to do and decide on seriously decide on big projects that they're going to do together and support each other because they're like-minded people. They're high caliber thinking individuals. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of pull, and they can make things happen. So they get together and discuss how they're going to make these things happen so that it's not just a little thing that this one guy did for him to get all this attention, but it's something that this group did together through this one guy and created all this support for all these people in the world.
Could you imagine?
A lot of people don't even know that they get together and contemplate these kind of things.
Of course, they have to though. But could you imagine if you're a Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or insert your billionaire name here, and you're a member of a Masonic lodge? Could you imagine how exhausting it would be when you showed up? Right. First of all, you're not growing from any.
First of all, it would just be handing out. That's why they don't show up.
It'd be what?
Because it would just be handing out your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I was
I've
gonna get
seen
to
it.
that.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah, every time a repair is needed, every time it came time for scholarships or anything like that, right? They would look to the richest guy in the room every time. And every time
Yeah.
someone had a question about their computer or what they should invest in or why this is like that with the company, I mean, it'd be exhausting. Now, if they're associating like in the groups you're talking about, people they're not complaining. They're talking
Everybody
about,
has something to contribute
they all have something
in
to
that
contribute.
in that group.
Yeah. So from like Bill Gates' perspective, it is such a one-sided relationship to associate with a lodge. Why would you do it? And that same thing applies to what I'm talking about. These businessmen and these leaders. Like if you were a city councilman, most lodges you go there, people are just going to complain and bellyache. Why would I go and associate with these guys if they're just going to complain? They're not in leadership positions in the community. Say they don't understand how it works. But if there was an organization where you had like-minded people, you would actually get something out of it. Let me read that comment because I found it. I went to join, visited 2 lodges in my area, so they visited around. I quickly realized I don't know if it's for me. There were guys who told me they joined because their dad was a member, and there was a lot of fat, out of shape, miserable dudes. Also, no businessman, just a lot of boring types of dudes. I was shocked. I thought much higher, and I'm sure in other areas it is. But I didn't join because I'm not like those guys. I'm in great shape. I own a business. I work very hard, and I'm self-sufficient. I thought presidents were Masons, and it just didn't feel right. And yeah, exactly.
Well, and I don't want to make our listeners feel bad or anything about where we are or what we're doing in our lodges, because what the point is that we can create better in our lodges by changing our vibes, changing our beliefs, as far as, you know, we can decide to be the victim in this, or we can decide to be the positive influence in our lodges. Every one of the people that I know that are sitting here, that I personally know that are sitting here on this call, are leaders in their lodge. They're all people that are doing stuff to make a difference within Freemasonry. And so I don't want anybody that's part of our group here, our inner circle, to feel bad about what they're doing, because you guys are rock stars.
No,
and you're doing good stuff, and I don't want that to be the takeaway here. What I do want to put out there, though, is that, like I've said before, our inner circles are the most likely to join, right? So it's the people that are around us, that see us, that know us, that are going to want to join because they notice something in us. And they're going to say something at some point, and you got to be ready to catch on to it when they say it. And that way you can fill in the blank. Oh, well, yeah, I'm a Freemason or whatever. And that way it'll create that spark, because if they're the same type of person and they're in your inner circle already, they're more likely to join. And what's happened is, like you said, the family tree type thing has happened over and over in Texas. In fact, we applaud what's going on there. But there's something to be said about legacy, though. Like my great grandfather, I've spoken about it a lot. He was the charter guy. He went and got the charter for the lodge up in Denton. And I'll be damned if I'm going to ride on the coattails of anybody in Freemasonry. And when my grandfather did that, I'm going to make sure and leave it better than the way I found it, because he founded it. He didn't just found it. He founded it. So I got a lot of work to do to fill those shoes at the very least, and then to leave it better than the way he brought it. Oh my gosh. I mean, that's going to take some serious work. I am not done yet, because that's going to take some serious work. And that our circles will change, because we're going to leave people behind that they're going to want to drag us down like the crabs do. and we're going to leave those people behind, and we're going to move on to people that work at a higher level like we do. And then within those circles, they're going to want to join also. And so that's when we're going to really help our lodges, when we've accomplished that.
Yeah.
That's when exponential, I wouldn't even say growth, I would say exponential enlightenment will occur in our lodges, when we raise our own standards, and then our inner circles that come from those standards start coming in. That's when we're going to see the big difference in our lodges.
Well, I would even say, and to be clear, like, this isn't like you don't own a business, so you're a crappy Mason, or you're not.
Oh, right,
right.
You're not. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with this right here.
That. Yeah. It's more about, because you have these lodges, and I think this is what they were conveying, is you have these lodges where everybody is stagnant, right? Nobody's working to improve themselves, and no one's working to lift others up, right? Freemasonry is about having a standard, a bar, and people rising to meet that standard. It's not about lowering that standard, which we have done in so many places. So likewise, lodges should be about, hey, let's keep raising our standards personally and at a large level. But every individual, as you are working to improve yourself, that bar that you operate at is going to constantly rise, because as you improve, you're capable of more. Therefore, you should hold yourself at a higher standard. But it also means that it's kind of like a football team, right? Like, hey, I just benched, I don't know, 250. You should do that too, or you should try to bench 260. You should try to beat that. I don't know if Caesar's still here, Caesar Rubio, but he would appreciate that. But it's about, so from a physical perspective, it's about, hey, this is what I can do. Let's all try to do this. Let's all try to exceed that.
Right. They push each other to do that.
Exactly. And that's
Always.
what a lodge should be about. It should be about pushing each other to do better. It's not about, and I think if that guy that I mentioned, his comment, if he came into a lodge where brothers are trying to push each other to do better, he would have found exactly what he's looking for. But instead, you have so many lodges where people are just stagnant. They just show up to pay the bills, and then they go home.
Right. And that's, go ahead.
I mean, in that case, I don't want to say that is his problem, but you have two options. If you found out yourself in that kind of situation, either you can complain and go into pages and put comments about your situation, or either you can work on yourself with your working tools, and like you talk about, raise
the bar. Yeah.
Raise the bar, and if you can do that, you don't need to be in any position. By you raising your vibration, I like this saying about Nikola Tesla. They say that think about energy, vibration, and frequency. So if you're talking in that kind of term, you raise your vibration, you're gonna attract all those good person, and the lodge is in a few months it can be a complete different lodge with just people that you are attracting. But if you start in complaint, you're gonna attract people that are gonna be in the same position that you. So that's what I'm saying.
A lodge has its own energy. You can call it a culture or whatever, but it has its own energy, and it's accumulation of the vibes that the membership puts out, right? It's accumulation of the energy that you put into it. It's kind of like what we just said: what you put into, you get out. If you put in good energy, positive energy, like, hey, we're not gonna talk bad about each other. We're going to focus on improving one another, improving ourselves. We're gonna have education. We're going to make this a positive experience for everybody that comes here. If you're putting those kind of vibes into your lodge, that's what it's going to give back to people. So people that will come, say Dennis is coming to give a talk, he's never been there before. It's going to be one of those lodges that he comes into, and he's immediately like, oh, this is a good lodge. And That happens. That's a thing. You could walk in when you travel to see a lot of lodges. You can get a pretty good impression of that lodge within like the first 10 seconds you walk in there, right? Because if no one's coming up and shaking your hand, no one's saying hi, you have quiet little huddle conversations here and there.
Right.
That's not a healthy lodge, right? So you could
Yeah,
tell.
you can tell when it's just a couple of people running everything, and everybody else is there for the purpose, and then they don't show up for anything else.
Mhm.
Who was gonna say something before Justin got started?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. I didn't. Was somebody going to say something?
I had a question. So when you're in conversation with just normal people and topic of like self improvement or anything like that, or religion or anything comes up, I seem to always want to bring up that I'm a Freemason, that it's helped me be a better person. Do y'all share that you're a Freemason with just normal people?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody asks, I get it all the time because I'm always asking people. but I get it all the time, and I always tell people what I'm affiliated with, and I tell people, hey, I'm going to give a lecture at a lodge tonight. We're talking about the hermetics of within our lives, where we can find hermetic principles and whatnot in our lives. And if they get it, then they're going to dig it. If they don't get it, they'll just say, oh, cool. You look cool.
I used to be very secretive about it just because I was always conscientious of the haters out there. But I've found that the more there's a saying, like, you get out what you put into it, right? The more that I put into my fraternity, the more often I don't have to tell people I'm a Mason because people are asking me. And a lot of that's probably because I'm pretty straightforward on my Facebook page. Like, I share what I'm going and doing things and stuff like that. And if I work with you, if I know you, if I met you once, I probably add you on Facebook, right? So people find out. They find out, and they ask that way, like, what do we do and things like that. Or they'll ask, like, what are you doing this weekend? And I'll be like, well, I'm going to Salado or something and giving a presentation. And so that will start the conference. I don't hide it, right? But it's not something I'm like going around like blowing a trumpet and telling everybody either. It's just it's an old saying, like, you could tell who you used to be able to tell who was a Freemason because of the way they acted and the things they did. And I come to realize, like, that's kind of the person a lot of us here are becoming, because I've experienced that, and I'm sure Dennis gets it all the time, and I'm sure you guys get it or will get it eventually, just because it just comes with the personal growth.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different, that I don't really put it on my personal Facebook anymore. All the stuff that I announce is on the groups that I'm a part of. I don't really announce anything on my personal stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's not because I feel hypocritical, right? Because I always tell everybody to put your stuff on Facebook, put it on whatever. Well, that's for the lodges for sure. You got to have a website, you got to have Facebook, you've got to have ways for people to get in touch with you if they're interested. But I don't want, I get a lot of traffic, and I don't want to get bombarded with a bunch of the stuff that we get bombarded with in Masonic improvement. And so I do it for a different reason, I guess. But I also want to have that one-on-one, face-to-face conversation with that person. If I'm going to talk Masonry with somebody, I really want it to be face-to-face. I don't want it to be on Facebook. Usually when somebody approaches me, or if I hear about it through the grapevine, or get an email or whatever about wanting to join the fraternity in one of the other websites I manage, then I'll always set up a face-to-face. I ask some pertinent questions, and then I always set up a face-to-face. and usually it's outside of a lodge setting at first, and then sometimes I will do it. I'll tell them just meet me at the lodge because I don't have anywhere to meet right at that moment. I've already eaten dinner. I don't want to go and I don't feel like going and drinking that moment, so I'll just tell them, okay, meet me at the lodge. We'll talk. That doesn't mean I have to take them upstairs to see the lodge.
Yeah.
That just means I want to meet and talk. But I would rather answer questions face to face. That way I can see their expressions and their, what's, because people tell a lot with their, and also I'll feel their energy, right? Just like we all discussed here. You can feel it in the room. You can feel it with somebody else. You can kind of tell where somebody's at. So, yeah, exactly.
But
So,
go ahead.
So I'm a little bit different, but I still am open to discussing with anybody what's going on. I'll ask them certain questions first, but if it's somebody I'm going to recommend, it's somebody that I think is really in it, that wants to be a part of it.
I'll also point out that because I think just like this year alone, at the school I work at, I've had 2 or 3 guys ask me if I was a Mason, and then they'll ask what we do, and I want to stress, like, I don't take this as an opportunity to sell, quote unquote, the fraternity, right? I'll just give them a very generic. Usually it's something along the lines of, we're a group of men that challenge each other. We try to improve ourselves, work with one another, something along those lines, and I leave it at that. But I'll watch them after that more closely because they've expressed an interest, and so in the future, if they want to pursue that, I want to know if they would be the kind of guy I want to recommend, right? I mean, you generally have a good idea anyway, but I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention. But I'm not going to say, like, hey, I'm not going to turn on the fire hose when all they want is a sip of water, if that makes sense. And I think that's also a mistake we get, because the minute someone expressed interest or they ask a question, we're trying to sell it, and that's how you come across as a cult right there, because they're like, oh, they're trying to get me to join, like as soon as it's like
no, you come across
like
as a cult when you write papers like I wrote on this. That's when you come across as
maybe.
a cult.
Maybe.
Wait till you see it. You're gonna say, do I want to put this out there?
No, as soon as you're like, one of us, that's when they start like, oh, I don't know about that. But
go ahead.
I believe the best marketing that we can have is ourselves.
Mhm.
Like if they see you in the gym, if they see you in the mall, if they see you walking around, and they see how do you behave, how do you conduct yourself, there's no way they will not be intrigued. They will ask you at one point,
Mhm.
because they're gonna figure out that there's something different about this guy. I don't know what it's about, but I want to find out. So I believe if you're doing right, you're gonna have that kind of approach.
Yeah, and
Right.
I believe
Yes.
that's like you're saying, like, we are our best advertisement, and that's part of the reason. Like, I'll share, like, if I'm going to a lodge giving a presentation, I'll share it on my personal page, just because. I mean, frankly, if I'm not the kind of guy that is a good figurehead, like a good representative of the fraternity to my friends on Facebook, then I have a lot of soul searching to do. Okay.
Wow, it got quiet.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah, Lee.
I'll say
Well,
that I waited until
go ahead.
I was a Master Mason to post anything online, and I did share my
That's the
raising.
way it should be.
And I waited until
That's
my
the way it should be.
raising, and it actually brought in 2 people that were curious, and one of them is now a member of Lubbock. He's an EA. He's kind of being dragged around right now because there's a lot going on in Lubbock, but he's waiting to be taken through the degrees. So.
Is he? Oh, he's just waiting for the degree for an EA
Yeah,
degree, or he's?
It was, one of his conductors is Charles, and Charles' wife passed
Yes.
away, and then
Yes.
just a bunch of stuff happened in the time frame of him joining. So he's just kind of waiting for things to come back his way. So.
Well, there's his brother Timothy. He's also a great instructor. He's a great resource. So
I think he's just afraid to ask for a new one. And I need to tell him that it's okay to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tell him it's okay to tell Charles, say, hey man, I know that you got stuff going on. It's okay. Can I have another person to work with so that we can get this thing done? I guarantee you, Charles would be the type of person that would hand him over without taking offense to it.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. I just need to let him know that's okay.
Yeah, he just doesn't know him that well, which is understandable.
Sometimes when you have a lot on your plate, it's almost a relief. Like you don't want to feel like you're putting someone off, but you got so much on your plate at the same time, you feel guilty that you're not doing what you should be doing. So I'm not saying that's the case, but I mean he might be relieved to have that opportunity to gracefully pass that on.
I'm fixing to start working harder on my certificates.
Like the ABC?
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to go for?
Well, of course, I'm going to start at C and then go from there. But yeah, you pretty much have to if you plan on doing certain things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that shouldn't be
why you did that, but yeah.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any. That shouldn't be one of the reasons, right? But yeah, I guess you got to show that you care about it.
Just another box to check.
Another box to check.
Yeah. Well, if you need help, I'll be happy to work with you on any of that. I'm about to start learning the full form lectures, so
nice.
If you want me to teach those to you, like the regular lectures, I might not be able to at that point because last time I started learning the full form lecture, I could not give a lecture at any time because I had to just stop because so many people were wanting. I think it was a fellowcraft because that's my favorite one. So I was learning the full form, and I do the walking lecture. So many people kept trying to ask me to do it, but I was like halfway through the first section full form, and it was jacking my mind up. So I had to just stop. And so my point is, like once I start learning full form, I won't be able to teach you the short form. I probably will not be able to go back. So just be aware.
Right. No, I get it. That's the way, you shouldn't apologize for that. That's, if you're going to improve yourself, it's going to improve Masonry. So I say do it to it. We need more people to do that because there's going to come a time when people won't know.
I agree.
They won't be able to do that.
Hey, brother, welcome.
On.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
1 second.
Glad you could be here.
So are you talking about the monitorial stuff added to, like, is it full form includes all of that, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in there in the full form, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, it's in the monitor, and it's part of the lecture. And the real issue is when you just have the regular lecture down. It's a very scary feeling when you're going and presenting that at the lodge and you get stumped and you look around and you realize
nobody can help
you. So even
well,
more
that's
so
when
if
you
have
just
the full
make
form.
Stuff up.
I know. It's like no one's gonna know.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you're talking.
Fake it till you make it.
It's a presentation. It's a play, and it's not for me, right? It's not for my ego
Right.
to prove to everybody I know it 100%. It's for this gentleman right here that's trying to get his degree. So if I mess up, you like you said, you just improvise it and move forward. But the same thing, like if you memorize the full form lecture, there's very few people that will be able to help you at that point if you make a mistake. But also, like you said, it's for this guy. This is his degree. It's me trying to convey value to him. So if I mess something up, it's not the end of the world. I just have to move forward.
Right. That's what we need to remember.
Yeah. I was at a degree pretty recently, and there's a newer Mason, and he's given the EA lecture before, and he did well, and he wanted to do it again, and I feel like as a district instructor, if I'm making myself obsolete, I'm doing my job correctly. right? That means I'm setting myself up for a successor one day, and that means there's more people in my district that can do these lectures. And all that said, like there was some mistakes, right? But he moved forward. I don't know, regardless if he knew he made the mistakes or not, he moved forward. This EA had no idea that this guy made mistakes, right? Like he did that good of a job. Like just even if he stumbled, he rolled with it and stepped back up, and you had no idea. And that's
Right.
what we have to do. Like it, I don't want to discourage anybody who is trying, because all it takes is a little bit of toxicity, right? To put a stop to that right there. And so that's what we have to be willing to do. First of all, we have to overcome that fear, right? Like we talked about tonight, we have to overcome that fear, because everything's on the other side of fear. And we have to, as peers, lift each other up, right? I've given lectures before where those in particular was a fellowcraft degree, and I missed one sentence, and as soon as I was done, some old timer came up and he's like, "Yeah, you missed that line right there." Not a good job or anything like that. Like, "Oh, you missed that line right there," and it stuck with me, because that's not what we need to be, right?
Yeah, why didn't you give it then?
Yeah,
Since
if
you
you
knew
knew it,
it,
why didn't you give
why
it?
didn't you give it?
Yeah.
Effer.
We have to build each other up as a fraternity. That's why we can't retain people, because we are not grabbing hold of one another and standing on one another's shoulders and trying to build up our lodges. If we build up our lodges, we build up our fraternity. And a built up lodge will attract people. So that's what we have to do. We have to start, like, sure, you got to have business meetings. You have to. It's an organization. You have to have business meetings to make decisions. There's no denying that, right? But what we do between business meetings, specifically between orders of business, that's what separates the lodge, and that's what separates us from the Lions Club or Rotary or anything like that. So we have to start lifting one another up and challenging ourselves to be a better person in April than we were in March when we went to lodge.
Well, and if we realize what the ritual is actually for, which I touch on in my paper. In fact, I don't think we ought to do this paper on one of those videos, because it
sounds like it gets pretty detailed.
Yeah, it gets into too much stuff, but I think it will be good for any of these brothers that are brothers. So any of our inner circle that's brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But
but I'll still show the video.
We know if we yes,
the group though, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
If we know what the ritual is actually for, then we would be much better at it, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we wouldn't be trying to correct everybody from the sidelines, because we would both be so busy focusing in on the experience as opposed to the words, mm-hmm. right? Because the words are they're actually just the capsule that takes you there, mm-hmm. right? They're just the subway that takes you there. And so you shouldn't be concerned about that subway at all. You should be sitting in that subway looking out the window at the beauty where you're moving into, mm-hmm. right? You're moving into this beautiful new realm and city, and you should be paying more attention to where you're going into than what you're actually doing it with, if that makes sense.
The ritual itself is the medium by which we convey the lessons the rite of passage is supposed to impart. However, that gets us there. It doesn't have to be. When I say the medium, that's the way we get the ideas across. But that doesn't mean it has to be perfect. It means you have to get the ideas across, and the ritual is what tells us what those are that we need to convey. Should we try to do it as close as we can? Of course. I'm not saying that by any means, But I am saying if you miss a word here or there in a degree or something like that, it's not the end of the world.
Once you read my paper, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because if you understand it, you'll want to do better anyways. And you wouldn't even, if everyone here understood it, we wouldn't even need to have this conversation. That's the truth. That's the reality. If we understood what we were actually doing there.
Yeah.
And it's not just to write a passage. It's actually the passage into another realm. We're preparing ourselves for the work we're taking on.
I keep thinking I hear somebody talking. If you're
I
trying to,
know. I think
if you're
that
trying
too, but
to,
maybe it's just somebody's microphone or something.
it might be.
Extraterrestrial.
Well, if you're trying to say something,
Yes!
you're not coming in very loud. That's all. I'm saying.
Man, I was hoping.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure it wasn't me. I had my mic on. I'll make sure to have it off while
Oh,
y'all are talking.
Oh, no
problem.
worries.
No worries at all. Yeah, I heard a voice and I didn't know if maybe someone's mic was turned down and they were trying to talk or something like that.
Well, earlier I thought somebody else was wanting to jump in, and they apparently weren't. So maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but
that was me. If I may, I'll introduce myself, guys.
Go for it.
I'm Brother Jay. I was initiated, raised, and passed in 2013. I'm a young guy. I'm a young Mason. But and then I joined the Scottish Rite in 2020. Got
Very
my
cool.
32nd degree.
Which one?
Valley of St. Louis.
Okay.
Oh, nice. That's such a great valley. Y'all have so much going on there. Y'all have so much education going on.
The virtual, I was able to join during the virtual cinematic reunion when they first launched it.
I was in St. Louis. I used to work for Edward Jones, and I went there for some training. Beautiful town, and I went and I don't think I covered all the lodges, but I tried to see as many lodges as I could while I was there. And there are some beautiful old buildings, some old lodges in that city that are just fantastic.
We are currently, or we've been in the process of actually trying to. It's sad. They're wanting to sell the temple. It's just such an old and big building. If any of you guys have ever been to it in St. Louis, has its own parking garage. I mean, it's massive, but there's a lot of it that's just falling down. I think budget concern, so we are actively, I think, going to be moving whenever they get that underway.
That happens a lot, unfortunately. When was it built?
And back in the 1900s,
okay.
Early maybe. I do know
a lot of these big ones were around 1920s, 1930s.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
right
thinking.
after. Yeah.
I just signed up for the Master Craftsman. Which one? The other two. I had done Albert Pike's
Esoterica?
Morals and Dogma. No, I'm on the Esoterica one now. I'm on the Esoterica one now.
So you did Morals and Dogma first?
Yeah, for some reason I was a dummy, and they didn't say there was a particular order, so I jumped right into 3.
Man, yeah, right into the thick of it. Have you done them all, Dennis?
Yeah, I am a Master Craftsman.
Nice. Yeah,
so you've done so once you complete them all, you get because I've gotten 1 pin from completing Master Craftsman 3, but
yeah, you'll get all of it when you get them all. You'll get it all.
And I had the honor to be able to be in the. I'm trying to remember. Don't bash me, but I think it was Night of the Sun. The 30th degree that has. It was either the 30th or the 20th. It was the degree that had. I had like a sword or something. I believe I played. I saw. It was great because after I joined the first cinematic reunion, we had another one, but we also had an in-person part to it, and so I was able to go and take part in the ritual, and that was very nice. So if any of you guys haven't got Scottish Rite, I'd highly recommend it.
Did they do the terminal degrees, or did they do all of them?
What do you mean? No, I think we just did 4 through 32. If that's what you mean.
Yeah.
That's all of them. He was wondering if it was all of them through the online thing, or if it was through the virtual thing or not.
They did in 2020, and then, if I'm not mistaken, in 2000, maybe it was 21, in 2000, and then the following year, they had that going, but COVID had lessened down a lot by that chance that we were able to meet in person.
Yeah, we're doing 20. I think it's 20. It's either 24 or 26 of the 29 degrees on stage this year for our spring reunion. We're going to have that meeting tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, or no, Tuesday night, as a matter of fact, getting ready for June.
And I think it's interesting to be able to have joined that way, because from what I heard and from where I live rurally, I would have had to go to a place an hour ahead, and usually they would have done the degrees in about like a weekend. Like they would have done it like really fast. Like they do have degree teams. You guys know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, that's what we do. In the fall we do a 1 weekend class, and we only do about 15 of the degrees on the stage, but the other ones we still do them, but we do them communicated to where we teach it. We have a big education committee in San Antonio, and so we really cover the bases in education. But in the spring reunion, which this one we're pushing to June because that's when we're having our centennial, our 100th anniversary celebration. So we're going to do it all in June. But in June, we're going to do 24 of the 29 degrees, and then we'll communicate.
We had our centennial in 2021.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, you were built in 1921. Then yeah, we were built in 1924. So was Arkansas, and I'm going there in May to their celebration.
I tell you what, Tennessee has some interesting lodges. When I was first a Mason, still just a Blue Lodge, I went and visited a lodge in Tennessee. Boy, they grilled me. I was not prepared. I was not prepared.
There's nothing worse than going to some other jurisdiction and you're feeling confident. They're letting you in the door, and then they ask you for the Tyler's oath. It's like, son of a bitch. Well, that's the only thing I didn't learn.
They asked me. I don't want to say it exactly. I'll say it cryptically. They asked me where I first started, if you guys know what I'm hinting to. And instead of the correct answer, I ended up saying from the St. John. I started going on that spiel.
Right.
They're like, oh, no, brother. Because they seen my card. They knew I wasn't lying, but I mean,
right. Right. That's funny. Yeah, I think all of us screw the pooch once or twice in this deal. It's funny.
Yeah, most
well,
definitely.
The thing I find challenging with the Scottish Rite degrees is, like, unlike with the blue degrees, we don't really get a reference. I mean, you have morals and dogma, and as deep as that is, it doesn't really cover like the degree minute to minute, type of thing, or does it, or the lessons? I mean,
right. It doesn't really give you an overview of the degree or it doesn't really explain working tools and the symbols that you actually see when you're doing the degree. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't give you all the meat and potatoes there.
That's what sorry, brother.
I was just gonna say, in San Antonio, do they give you a book when you're finished with all the degrees?
We get a bridge to light, but we also in San Antonio. Yes. Yeah. We get that as part of it. When somebody joins San Antonio, everybody gets a ring. They get their cap, and they get a bridge to light. Those are the three things that you get when you go to San Antonio. And
okay, that's what I was going to recommend to Brother Jay if they didn't give you a bridge to light at the end of your 30-second.
I purchased it. Yeah, I purchased it for my master craftsman. We had to buy everything.
Well,
We
our
didn't get good
degrees
at
are pretty. Yeah, our degrees they pay for it, but so it's a little bit more expensive than what a lot of people want to dish out. But we think that it's important that they have those things. If they're going to be a Scottish Rite Mason, we want them to make sure and have it. And our go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking too much.
Oh,
I
no
guess.
worries.
Not at all. No, you're good.
I was just going to say that in Scottish Rite we have a continuing Masonic education class, the CME class. In fact, we have two of them. One of them is in person, um, which is just absolutely awesome. We break down we break down the degrees one at a time. Right now they're on the 23rd degree. Now I'm doing the same thing down in Corpus with my Scottish Rite Club, and we're doing that down there because it's such a far drive they can't make it up to the CME in person to do the degree, so I'm taking it down there to them. So what we do is we break down the degrees by one person will give a description of what you're going to see if you're watching the degree from the sidelines. What you're going to see these certain symbols, you're going to see this apron, you're going to see these jewels, and you're going to see this book on the altar. You're going to see, this is what you're going to see. And then another brother in a little bit of a description on some of that stuff. And then another brother gives a full breakdown of his interpretation of morals and dogma. That's usually Chris Williams, my mentor, and his favorite book in the world is Morals and Dogma, and he can tell you at any given point what any degree is talking about, based on Pike's view. And then we also have a brother that does a comparison between the northern jurisdiction and the southern jurisdiction degrees, and how they differ and how they're the same. And then we go into the final portion is Kabbalah and Tarot and where it all falls into place into the mystery schools. We talk about the Egyptian influences and whatever influences are a part of that degree. We discuss that in our CME class. Now, Arkansas.
That's something I wish I could go through, brother. Is learning about more of the connection to the esoteric side of things, the Kabbalah. I don't know. Isn't there? I believe there's, if I'm not mistaken, and like I said, I'm really young, green Mason compared to all of you guys. But isn't there a symbolism of the Kabbalah pillars? That's influenced. I'm not trying to get without getting directly into anything,
Well, sure. It's actually the three pillars of the Blue Lodge. If people really studied it, wisdom, strength, and beauty. And
are any of you familiar with? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are any of you familiar with a Mr. John Nagy?
Yes. He's been on the show.
Yeah. I have all his books. He is an awesome brother. I know, like his catechism books. I think those are the best uncommon but should be common Masonic education. Mm-hmm. He is. I'm so glad you guys know him. That's awesome.
He was at our Grand Lodge in January a few months ago.
He was at our inner circle dinner.
Yep, he was at our inner circle dinner. No, I don't say love a lot.
You're welcome.
I love John Nagy. I love John Nagy. He is fantastic.
I even got his other books on like emotional awareness and stuff. Like he is a fantastic author.
I got it's still EA. If you think about it, EA and emotional awareness. But I think he did that on purpose. But I have 18 books as well. Very very good guy though. Very knowledgeable.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. Yeah.
And do any of you happen to know Mr. Brother Harper? Charles Harper. He wrote a book called Freemasonry in Black and White.
I know him, but I know of him, but I don't know him personally.
Okay. Yeah, I have a lot of Mason. That's where I met the bulk of brothers from far and wide is Facebook, and Facebook's as long as you're careful to, every now and then you have somebody that's belongs
Right.
to, yeah.
Yeah, they're out there, but yeah, Facebook's been. It's a tool like any other tool, right? It can be used for good or bad. You just have to be careful on how you use it. But no, it's put us all in contact with some fantastic brothers. So it's a great tool.
So I tell you what, Brother Jay, give us your email address, and I will put you in touch with Bradley Kohanke. He's one of my members or one of my mentors, and he's a member of my valley as well as he's up in Arkansas. They're working on a new online CME in Arkansas, and they're actually going through the degrees online. Their SGIG is allowing them to do it online. The only reason I don't do it is because that's one of my meeting nights for one of my lodges, and so I can't make it to that. But if you want to take a deep dive,
back chat for you, brother.
Just okay.
Let you know.
Yeah, if you want to take a deep dive, then I will send him your information and and now they'll want to verify you, of course, but once they do that, then they'll send you an invitation to their Zoom. They'll do it nationwide. They don't care who it is, as long as they're an actual member.
I also shared a link to the Inner Circle Facebook group in case any of y'all have not had a chance to join that yet. There's a link in the chat here for that group. Be sure you join that because a lot of these invites for the Zoom are on there, and like documents that, like what Dennis has been talking about, we're going to share that to it. But also just our conversations we have about upcoming events and stuff. So if you want to plug in to us that way also, definitely check that out. It's a benefit of being in the Inner Circle, and I recommend it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys, that I found something like this, because I was thinking forever like we need it. And there is a Freemasonry network, but despite sending requests to join and all my info, I've never gotten, like, it's been now a year, I never got anything back from that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
You can get it on, it's listed on the Scottish Rite. I don't know if any of you know. It's sort of I don't think it's that old, but it's called the Freemason Network.
Yeah, I think isn't it just for the Scottish Rite Network as well? I'm not sure. I joined the Scottish Rite one and see all the other people in the Scottish Rite Network. But Brother Jay, do you have Discord?
No. I was well, I do. I do have an account. I could download it. Do you guys do a lot? That's what I was wondering, if this was on Discord. It almost looked like it was on Discord for a second.
This one's not. This one's on Zoom, but I'm a part of a Texas Freemason on there, and then another Freemason network on Discord.
Okay, bet. Next time we meet on here, if you happen to be on here, I'll if you can give me an invite link, I should have it set up by then.
Yeah, well, there is that Freemason Discord. I know what you're talking about, Trent, but no, I don't really.
That's
like
Brother
Discord.
Trenton. Nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah, we don't have a Discord for this. We have what we're doing here. We also have Inner Circle. So that's the Inner Circle Facebook group. That's where a lot of the conversation happens.
I'm texting right now. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's all good. All right, man. Well, it's almost 11 p.m. here, and I gotta wake up early.
Sir.
So
Yeah,
we normally go till 10, but the conversation was so good we went on extra time. But yeah, let's start wrapping up. Does anyone have any final thoughts? We covered a lot of stuff this evening.
Well, I'm glad
It
I
was
was
a
able
great.
to. Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead,
go ahead,
brother.
brother.
Go ahead.
No, you
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You first.
Okay. I was about to say that it was a good conversation. So I'm glad to see you all again.
Likewise, man. It's always good to see you. Yeah,
You too.
I'll just say, like, we covered a lot of topics, but the topic of manifestation has come up a lot recently, and it's not The Secret. Like, you could watch The Secret and get a general idea of what we're talking about, but that's taking a beautiful concept and trying to market it to make money, and it's you can't monetize.
And they got so many things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all have a reason for being, and God gives us that. And people think that they can just manifest or attract whatever. You're only going to attract. This is another esoteric kind of school of thought, not exactly from Masonry, but from what I understand, is you're only going to attract what is necessary for your reason for being. I mean, that may be new, but
no.
Well, I think that's I certainly think that's I think that's what happens. Is it's not necessarily that you attract anything, but it's manifestation is creating it in your life, and so you're not really attracting it. That's why it is only what's necessary for your reason and being right at that moment. But as you build, you end up being able to increase in that ability, increase in that ability to manifest to newer degrees, because you're constantly moving up the scale, basically.
Yeah. And a lot of that's visualization, I think. And
that's a good explanation.
And the more you practice it, the better you get, and the more clearly you can visualize what you want, what your goals are, what you're trying to manifest. I think the more accurate what you're focusing on will happen. And so it also has to be realistic. Like, you can't manifest waking up a billionaire, but you can manifest improving and becoming the kind of person that would be successful. So it's not a magic wand.
Yeah, too many people thought that if they visualized every day over and over a Ferrari, they were somehow going to be led to the events and circumstances themselves to get a Ferrari. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I'm going to manifest a Ferrari in my garage in the morning. Yeah, no, but
I did want to say something. So the manifestation stuff, and about Brother Sands and what he was saying about putting out the positive vibes or vibrations. Mm-hmm. He was talking about Nikola Tesla, about the energy and vibrations and frequency, and Brother Yates has talked about that kind of stuff too, and really putting in the good vibes and stuff into your lodge and not the complaining type vibes really goes a long way, and it does attract the right. Positivity is contagious, and so is negativity. So there's been
and that's part of manifestation. Well, absolutely.
The world is a negative place.
Yeah,
and the lodge is supposed to be a place that is separate, a place that is different, a place that you can go and get away from the profane. Right? It's supposed to be a special, sacred place. And so if you are negative, if your lodge is negative, it's no different than what's going on out there every day at the work or on the street or anything like that.
Microcosm of the macrocosm.
Exactly. We have to work to make our lodge, and I like that. I like this concept of a sacred space. We have to work to make our lodge a sacred space with positive intentions, positive vibes, and raising the vibration, to sound like a new age guy, to raise the vibration of everybody who comes into that building. Glow sticks, no, not that.
And that also goes tied to all the opening and closing lodge. So that's what we're supposed to do.
Preparing you to get there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Otherwise, you could just open it like any other organization. There's a reason for that ritual. It is to get you in that mindset. It is not to get you in the mindset to vote to approve minutes and change the light bulbs, even though, unfortunately, we have to do that. But it is to get you in a mindset that it's the same thing, and not to start this because we're closing, but it's the same reason like a lot of jurisdictions wear like tuxedos, right? It's to get you in a mindset as you are. Pennsylvania is what I was thinking about. But when you're doing that, it gets you in a different mindset, and that's why you go home, you get out of your work clothes, you're getting out of the work mindset, you're putting on your tuxedo, getting into the mindset. I'm going to lodge. I'm doing something special. That's why even if I'm wearing nice clothes at work, I'm a teacher, I still go home and change before I go to lodge, because I don't want to have my work mindset. I want to have a different perspective when I go to that.
That's why I always wear a suit. And once you read that paper, you can understand kind of why it's important to wear a suit.
Yeah.
Why it's important to dress up.
What paper, sir?
Oh, if you'd like one, I'll send it to you. It's a presentation I just gave at the last symposium on Saturday. Yeah, you don't know us yet, but we go around giving presentations, and I do it hard and heavy. So everyone I do, I write a new presentation for. So I don't regurgitate my stuff. So I'll send you a copy of this latest paper also, so you'll get an idea for what we talk about, what we think about, and what we do. We don't always talk about it online because, frankly, we wouldn't get all the viewers if that's all we talked about. But because really our focus is mainly on the success of the lodge, though, and there is importance in the esoteric that we need to be focused on in the lodge, but there's also the management aspect as well, and we do we are pretty damn sharp on that.
Sorry, Right Worshipful Cody Stewart says he'd like to see that paper too, Dennis.
Woo! Baby, yes, sir.
You're the big
I'd be
now.
proud. I am proud to share with you, Right Worshipful Sir. I love you. If you were here, I'd kiss you on that bald head of yours.
Man, he's probably glazing. I hear then.
It's the last time he ever said something on this one. No, I know better.
No,
he's just like me. He's
great.
full of love. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm actually glad I actually got on tonight and actually got to be a part of this. My first time actually being on the show and listening, and I actually enjoyed it. So
good.
Well,
I'm glad you enjoyed
on here.
And a lot of what we talk. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you're always welcome on here. We're glad to have you. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Sorry.
We're in closing thoughts, and here we are talking about different stuff. But I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, I'm about to leave though. I need to wake up early and take my daughter to school, so I'm leaving and keeping between the points, brothers.
Thanks for coming, brother.
You too.
I work all right. Let's keep going.
Sucker. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I'm about to head out myself. I gotta get up early. I gotta call my valley. And like I said on the chat, but I just got a lot of life stuff. Apparently they forgot to mention they delayed my dog food for my dog, so I gotta go to PetSmart in the morning.
Oh man.
Man, that's not how you want to start your day.
Right?
No.
Well, it's good seeing you. Good having you on. We'll see you next time. We have these lives every Sunday, 9 p.m. And sometimes we do it on during the week. We always let our members know what we're doing. We always let the inner circle know when we want to invite them on. Just keep a lookout on Facebook and on. And if you're like Justin said, make sure you're attached to our Facebook pages and Masonic Improvement, and then the Quarry itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to YouTube and follow, like, and click the bell so you get notifications every time we're going to go live.
Look at that.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's been a member a long time. So.
He knows how it goes.
It says 8 months, but it's really like 10 or 11.
Right.
Man. Does anyone else have any final thoughts? Otherwise, I'll
Yeah.
let Dennis take it away.
Yeah, I'll wrap us up if nobody else does.
Before we end this thing, are those Scottish Rite classes on? Is it? Do I need to call my valley and get that set up, or do I do it online? Because I've never.
Are you talking about the Master Craftsman course?
Yeah.
You just set it up yourself when you sign into the Valley website, or like go to your Scottish Rite website, and then it should be on there. It'll be a link to Master Craftsman. You should be able to just set it up through there, like register.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Isn't it ultimately through the Southern Jurisdiction? Through their website?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah, the big Southern Jurisdiction website.
Yeah. So if you can't find it on your Valley website, look up the Southern Jurisdiction.
Well, yeah, that's where you go is the Southern Jurisdiction to actually do it. You log in there, and then there's members only content, and it's under that members only content.
Okay. I was going to call the Valley anyways tomorrow, so.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
Well, good luck on that. I need to get started on that too. I've been reading other books. I need to start doing that stuff.
Yep. It's a deep dive. You got to be ready.
Yeah, I'm still in the first one in the Order Out of Chaos. I haven't finished it.
Nice.
I got one final thought I wanted to share. Next Saturday, if anybody is around Terrell, Texas, come have breakfast. We're gonna have like a fellowship breakfast at it's called Javier's Tex-Mex, and we're gonna meet at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
And it's in Terrell, Texas. So
Yeah.
anybody
Very
around
nice.
here, just come on with us.
That would be a long night for me.
What do you got?
All right, you ready for those final thoughts? And then Justin, stay on with me. I wanted to talk to you a second before I get off.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the Justin.
Well, it got kind of choppy for a second. Go ahead.
Mr. Jones, good neighbor Sam. Mr. Jones. You only know that if you know punk rock. Sorry, guys. All right. Final thought, wrap up. Brothers, we've talked about a lot of stuff tonight. And we've ranged from Hermetic principles, manifestation of destiny, or actually, I don't like that idea, that terminology, manifestation of destiny. I like manifestation of reality, because that's what you're doing in doing all this. You're manifesting your own reality moving forward. So we talked about manifestation of your reality. We've talked about why that's important in the lodge, and if you really understand what the lodge represents and what you're a part of, then it's easy to understand why the ritual is so important to get you there, because we're the only organization there is that has it, and we should know why we have it. And really, if we understand what we're a part of in depth, then we will understand why it's so important, and why it's so important to do your very best at it every time. Not be a robot. Be able to it well enough that you can put those inflections in it that are important to bring more meaning to the lodge, as well as any candidate that you're dealing with at the time, if you're doing a degree. We have talked about a lot of stuff, and this is the stuff that we don't usually hear about in our lodges. So the biggest thing I can say is I loved it when Brother Hoff brought up fear, because all good things are found after fear. And so once we get past that, then that's where we find the good stuff. We talked earlier about the wall of light, and there's a barrier that we have, and it actually creates that fear within us that doesn't allow us to get past that. But once we go past that wall of light, we get to the real good stuff. And then we realize that there's nothing that can stop us, and there's nothing that we can't overcome, because we have created this in our cards to make us be able to see it, accept it, understand it, and move even further. We have created that. Brothers, if you're not getting that kind of information in your lodge, if you're not getting that kind of information on the other podcasts that you're a part of, I implore you to do what was said earlier. Hit subscribe. Do the go ahead, brother. I'm always the last one to give the final thoughts for.
My mic was messing up a while ago. I was trying to get a word. That's why I came out and
Oh,
came back.
hey, yes. Go back. Go ahead, and then I'll wrap up my thoughts.
Thank you.
But go ahead.
I got saved, when I was very young in church camp, and I felt like before I joined Freemasonry, I was drifting, like I was, in that adolescent years. I didn't know myself, I always knew I was a child of God, but for me, Freemasonry and going through those initiation rites or rites of passage, which is what they really are, that was my second, I don't know if you call it second rebirth or awakening, but, it put me, it put God, society, everybody at large together at a focus point that I had never had before. It really puts things in perspective, especially if you pay attention, obviously, in the rituals. But
Yep.
yeah, it's awesome, and I'm glad to have met you. I've heard about you guys for a while, and there's a lot of people that's a part of this that I've actually known. Some of them from my valley, so I look forward to meeting you all, and appreciate you guys letting me on.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell him to come on, introduce himself.
Be glad to.
That's awesome.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah. So to wrap up my thought, our new brother Jay on the show, he's right. That's what happens with Freemasonry. Is we come into a new realization of who and what we are in this reality, who and what we are in the aspect of our Maker, and not everybody has to believe the same thing, and that's the beauty of Freemasonry. Because we do come from the ancient mystery schools. While most of us probably learned our first taste of God in Christian churches, a lot of brothers have not. They've gotten their taste of church or taste of religion from another source of religion, and that's okay, because we all know that there's one God. And that God's bigger than any religion. The religion is only
it's a part of man trying to understand God.
The means for us to get there. So as we expand in our Masonry, as we expand in our journey, sometimes we feel like we're on an island because we've been going through this, and not everybody sees things the way that we see it, because we have basically grown out of the kiddie pool and into the big pool. And that's okay. It's okay if you leave people behind, because not everybody is going to get it. It's okay. Because we end up leveling up, and not everybody can level up with us. So if you feel like you're on that island and you're not getting this information somewhere else, then feel free to come and visit us and talk through it with us, walk through it with us, and we can get you in touch with people that can help you, just like we're doing tonight with the brothers that want to meet up on the Arkansas group to take a deep dive into Masonry. We know these people. We know these people all around the world that can help you get the Freemasonry that you thought you were going to get when you walked in the door. So, brothers, thank you for your time, and thank you for all your support. And as always, keep it between the points.
Brother Yates, please get my email if you would, sir. And thank you guys again for allowing me up. And I'm glad to be part of the inner circle. Some of it be, guys.
We're glad to have you.
All right, take care. Take care. I've already got you. I've already sent the text out.
Okay. Thanks, bud. Brother.
Sure. Take care.
Y'all have a good night. Peace.
You too.